Welcome to Out of Home Insider, the loudest voice in out of home. Today's guest is going to bring us up to date on the world that we're all excited to get into, the world of skiing and snowboarding. Winter's almost here. We've got Nick Haggard. He's the director of direct and programmatic sales at Alpine Media, and he's going to inform us about what the outlook is for the ski season and how you can take advantage of the very unique assets that Alpine has. Nick, thanks for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This is a fun conversation today. It's always fun for me to talk about skiing and snowboarding. It's my ultimate passion. It's the passion of our founders as well. So it's always fun to sit down and kind of talk about not only the ski season that we have approaching, but also then how we're amplifying our customer engagement across the ski resorts as well.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Like out of home's fun. But if you're a skier or snowboarder, I'm sure it's like a lot of fun to work for a media company that specializes in helping ski resorts.
Exactly. Well, hey, I found a passion. I've been in the world of media for a long time. Worked at iHeartRadio for a very long time. So pretty much have sold everything in the world of media outside of broadcast television. And it's really interesting getting into the out-of-home space now for the past 4 years and seeing the difference it is. It's definitely a camaraderie in the world of out-of-home media that I've never experienced before in the world of radio or digital media. It's a different scene. So it's been exciting for my growth and also for our company to really see and get more partnerships within the world of out-of-home than we ever thought would happen.
Yeah, it definitely has its own unique subculture, and I think that's kind of that's a lot of the appeal to it is. You could come up with any idea and you want to sell space somewhere out of the home and welcome to the community. Now you're an out of homey. So it's pretty cool. The culture behind it. It's the same thing. I came from a digital marketing background where it was just cutthroat. We're all trying to take each other out. Here, it's really been a helpful collaborative environment. So why don't you tell everybody who's listening, what is Alpine Media and how is it that you help brands position in front of ski resort attendees?
Yeah, it's a good first place to start, right? Is explaining actually who we are. So Alpine Media really started in a car ride up to Winter Park Ski Resort. The founders were very engaged with the National Sports Center for the Disabled up there. They help disabled skiers and snowboarders get back onto the slopes, and we're helping out that weekend as far as getting people out and showing them around the mountain. The tough thing that they were talking about on the way up to the ski resort was, man, I really wish in real time I knew if the run from top to bottom was going to be moguls, or if the top of the mountain was negative 30 degrees and with 30-mile-per-hour winds, and I wouldn't take some of my disabled participants there. Thankfully, sitting in that car was an aerospace engineer who was able to develop the idea of our patented and world's first ever digital displays on chairlifts. So that was what created Alpine was really an information-based platform to give real-time information to better the experience for skiers and riders. From there, it just grew. Once we started getting into resorts, they asked, well, hey, where else can you provide this type of information? This is valuable for our skiers and riders. Where else can you put it? So that's when we started to get more into the world of digital out of home and create placements across the entire ski resort. So from ticket office to welcome centers to food halls to big outdoor displays. For those of you that are listening that are skiers or snowboarders, the world of skiing is very antiquated in the form of communication that they're able to provide the skiers and riders. A lot of times it was literally whiteboards at the bottom of a chairlift that would tell you snow totals or if there was a missing child. So that's what really also amplified our growth, is that resorts were wanting this, ability to communicate with the resorts at multiple touch points across the mountain. And that's how kind of then it continued to evolve, and looking at our financial model, and then began, well, hey, it makes sense for relevant brands to be able to message this audience too. So that's when we moved past just being an information-based SaaS model for ski resorts to also then having the opportunity at select resorts to also have a digital out-of-home advertising placement as well.
So really using out of home to create a more immersive experience for the folks that are there, which I'm sure adds value to their experience. Is that something that's a value proposition for the ski resorts that you work with? Is that how they're looking at it?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, there's two different sides of the business. I'm talking to resorts. We're talking about the value that we bring to the resort, the ability for them to not only provide valuable information as far as location, where someone should ski across the mountain, but that dispersing crowds is a big one. All ski resorts are looking to do that, especially in the world of COVID. Promoting specific promotions they have going on across the mountain. Marketing can get on there and create a list of events that are going on across the mountain. And then for safety protocols too, if there is a missing child, if there is an avalanche danger in bounds, these are things that they can take over all of our displays and communicate that to the guests in real time, immediate.
Yeah, I mean, going from a whiteboard to a real-time alert and entertainment and content and ad platform is pretty incredible. How do you see COVID impacting park attendance over the
Yeah.
winter?
Yeah, so that's a big one for us right now, and this is working with Geopath on this. Really trying to get our audit through on what those impressions look like. We're expecting anywhere between a 15 to 20% decrease in visitation. It's just reality. The big thing that's interesting to look at is that domestic travel we expect to be up. I live in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. We expect more visitation from Denver, Fort Collins, Colorado Springs, people that are driving, people that want to get out of the city. Data has already shown that from occupancy reports here in the mountains, we're actually seeing more visitation in the past 2 months than we've seen the year prior.
Wow.
So domestic travel's up. It's all this, the international travel is going to be almost close to zero. There's not going to be much international travel to ski. And then there's going to be a decrease in traveling over state lines to go to ski resorts. Those decreases outweigh the increase of domestic visitation. So we do see a decrease in total attendance, which we've factored into all of our impression counts and all of our pricing.
It's interesting because it kind of reminds me of like the value of a database, right? Email marketing, where we all hate unsubscribes, but ultimately what you're left with after people unsubscribe are the most curated audience. And you sort of have a similar scenario playing out here in that the audience that will be there is a really intense ski audience. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah. And, I think you hit on a good point too, that I'm excited about as an avid skier. When you look at last year, Vail released a picture or video of someone going up the chairlift on a powder day on the weekends that showed a lift line that literally went from the base of their gondola almost halfway up the mountain. I think
I'd have just turned around and walked up.
Yeah. I think this will be a benefit for the skier experience in the fact that, yes, it will start limiting visitation on the big days. And that's what a lot of resorts are doing, is that, there's not going to be a huge difference on the Monday through Fridays. It's going to be those big weekend days that have a big powder day or big holiday days,
Right.
An MLK Day, Columbus Day. They're going to have to create some form of capacity max, which I think in the reality of a skier, I think that's going to be great. I think there'll be the core audience there. I think people are probably willing to spend even more money on their passes, knowing if they didn't have to stand in a 15 to 20 minute line. So I think there will be benefits that come out of this too. There are going to be some negatives, but that's just the world that we're living in. And the fact though that ski resorts are going to be open and people can get outdoors and doing the sport they love, that's what the focus needs to be.
Absolutely. And Nick, you lead up the sales team, direct and programmatic. How does a brand come to buy Alpine Media programmatically?
Programmatically, we're tied into Vistar's SSP, which Vistar is incredible. They're really taking the reins and running with bringing programmatic into the digital out-of-home space. They're pretty much now partnering with tons of DSPs that can have access to their inventory. So, they're really being the hub for anyone who wants to get access to the out-of-home space, whether it's static or whether it's digital. They're doing it both. So it's an exciting time because every single year we see more and more interest, more and more excitement, from conversation this week with Kinetic and their programmatic team. They see excitement on being able to to move and manage money in a way where if the ski resorts are open and malls are closed or major sporting venues are closed, it's pretty easy to just move money in the programmatic space to still be able to provide a successful overarching campaign. And that's the value that Vistar is bringing in the world of out of home is more access to programmatic channels, which I think we'd all agree where a lot of digital media is going.
Right. And in coming from a buy side background, the ability to move money on the fly like that, instead of calling up a vendor and saying, hey, I got to cancel this. I'm trying to get out of a contract. I'm trying to get space booked here.
Right.
Yeah, I could do it from my computer and just shift the money.
Right.
Is it beyond just that? What are you hearing is the appeal programmatically from buyers?
From buyers, I think it is just it's ease of adding to their omnichannel approach. Meaning that there are other forms of mediums that are a lot easier to purchase. Right. It's simple. The world of digital SEM, SEO, all of it can be done, with clicking some buttons and hitting go. Out of home really hasn't had that capability. Digital changes that in the fact that now digital out of home has the ability to kind of get into this type of marketplace where someone can go and take all of their mediums from radio to digital to TV, connected TV to now digital out of home, and do it all in one ease of a programmatic platform. And I think that's the big thing. For the supply side, for my end, what I love so much about it too is that we have limited inventory. That's something that we've promised all the resorts. That's something that we've kind of held to us. We're going to keep a very limited amount of partners. It is great for me within the Vistar platform to see creative come through that I get to look at it and I get to approve it or deny it. That's something that in the world of programmatic is not normal. Normally it's all in real time. For us, the fact that Vistar has provided that is key for our ability to engage on the programmatic channels, is to kind of see what partners are trying to come through, what ads are coming through, not accepting everything, keeping it very clean and beautiful, which across all displays is our ultimate goal.
So the immediate, thought is, ski and snowboard brands make sense to do this, but what are some brands or categories that should be considering this type of audience that maybe traditionally haven't?
Yeah, I love you asked that question because when I first came into this role, I thought, man, tech brands in the ski world, ski apparel, man, this is going to be easy. In reality, they don't spend a lot of marketing dollars. So really our biggest partners have been in other verticals. Healthcare has been a huge one for us. Education has been a big one for us. Alcohol, for those of you that are skiers or snowboarders out there, you know how great it is at the end of the day to have a beer, have a bourbon, so those are brands that resonate. Fitness brands, those people that are, the new Theraguns and Hyperices out there, those massaging tools, those have been big ones for us. People that are willing to spend on a Peloton, that's definitely our audience. So yeah, it's been way more than just ski brands. We've actually done better with other industries out there. Auto being another one, and auto is a big one for us as well.
Interesting. Maybe elaborate on auto, because it's a category that out of home has struggled with as of late, and the way that automotive buys marketing has changed significantly, right? They want everything tied back to an attributable action, ideally a click or a car sale. How are you having that conversation with automotive about the value of out of home?
Yeah, there's two things on that. One is we always talk about our audience. I mean, that is by far the most value that we have to any client out there, is that we have access to the ski resort audience. Unless you are a resort partner, which is our high dollar figures, there's no other advertising medium within ski resorts. It's simple, on the digital side of things. So that's the biggest one is, hey, if you want an affluent, active audience that is in a very uncluttered type of advertising environment, we got it. And the second is what we're doing post on Mountain Experience. We're not just serving ads and saying impressions only. We're also creating geofences around the resort, gaining mobile IDs, and making sure that we connect with these resort visitors once they've left the mountain too. Most visitors to the mountain will be there for about 3 days. Is that enough time to make a purchase for a Peloton, for an example? Maybe not, for a BMW, maybe not. So, but we know that the audience is a key audience that has a buying potential to be a key consumer for a BMW or a Peloton. So we make sure that from mobile, desktop, run SEM, we run connected TV. We make sure that we connect with these resort visitors post their on mountain experience to show conversions.
And do you manage that
in the auto world?
Okay. And do you manage all of that for the advertiser, or do you pass data back, or do you do both?
We do it all. Yeah, we do it all. We run the campaigns ourselves. We have an internal software that we built that helps us with not only the tactics of retargeting, but then also full reporting analytics. We personally purchase them off the Trade Desk, which is a very reputable source of publications out there, at a very cost-effective way to get these impressions. So yeah, it's been a very big growth for us in the past couple of years, outside of just doing the on mountain displays. We've really extended and amplified our audience reach.
So speaking of growth, you talked about limiting the inventory and creating that exclusivity behind it. How do you grow? How does Alpine Media grow while still remaining exclusive media partner?
So how does that work with media growth? Is that what you said?
Yeah, just how do you see Alpine Media growing your share of the pie by limiting inventory while retaining that exclusivity component?
Yeah, hey, and this is the current strategy that I don't see changing. We want to be an exclusive platform. We want to have brands that do resonate with our audience and make sense. The big thing for us is that we continue to grow across resorts. My inventory continues to grow every single year substantially. Thankfully, resorts are seeing value in the displays that we're providing, the information that we're showing the guests. That's the ease. Is how we continue to have exclusivity as we continue to grow our inventory across multiple different resorts. We are now all the way from Maine to California.
Wow.
So we are extending now across the entire U.S. But there are pockets of ski resorts that we can continue to reach out to that serve valuable DMAs. You wouldn't think about Wachusett Mountain being a key reach of the Boston DMA, but when we look at the demographic breakdown, it is a high-end affluent consumer that is coming from Boston. That's a typical skier there. So how do we continue to do the same thing across resorts that are reaching the New York City market, that are reaching within Vermont or New Hampshire? There's new locations that we continue to explore and grow in, which is our ultimate route of keeping exclusivity, but growing our total reach.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm out in like Northwest New Jersey. And while we don't have, I think we've got one ski mountain, Mountain Creek, not too far from here. If you look at like the Poconos region of Eastern Pennsylvania, try to drive to Pennsylvania on the weekend. You will be backed up from the toll probably 5 miles in New York City traffic. It's, in my opinion, such an undervalued market for exactly that reason. So it's interesting that you're looking at and considering the audience movement. How do you is that something you look at on the front end of a campaign, or potentially working with an advertiser? Is that part of the assessment process of the resort and the inventory that could be there? Where do you factor that in, or is it multiple places in the value chain?
As a growing company, I wish that we did always have the ability to look forward and understand the inventory that was going to be available, but that's not the case. I mean, we're constantly having new partners coming on mid-season. Last year we had a Telluride on 1/1, midway through the ski season. That's hard. That's hard to look at revenue projections and look at inventory optimization in a scenario like that. But hey, it's just our situation. And it's great, the fact we're totally fine adding inventory, even if it is not an ideal place timing. The big thing that we're trying to do is normally towards the end of ski seasons is when we are talking to new resorts, beginning the process. For something like our Lift Digital technology, it's not only a big capital investment on our part, but it takes some time. We have to go in there and for something like at Winter Park, we have 624 displays across their chairlifts. I mean, that takes some time.
And that's just the chairlifts.
Just on the chairlifts, yeah. So, Yeah, so recognize, so we're always trying to get ahead of it when we can, but then we're also recognizing that it's something that if it comes in at a bad time, we're still going to do everything in our power to get everything up and running and functional before the season or even mid-season.
What if a resort already has some screens on the premises and they're just looking for a better way to optimize and monetize those screens? Is that something that you work with?
Oh yeah, for sure. We have tons of different pricing options from a SaaS model to including advertising and then rev share based off of that. And then also with displays, we have a partnership with Samsung. So, our ability to purchase large indoor and outdoor TVs, which I think probably a lot of people don't recognize how expensive out-of-home TVs, outdoor TVs actually are.
Give us an idea. How much?
They're 10,000 plus.
Damn!
So
That's not cheap.
Those are not cheap displays, but so if they already have displays, thankfully we have our own software. It's simple. It's an easy type of plug and play type situation. We always do customize it for the location. So whether it's a ski resort or whether it's a large lodge at the base, we customize it for their facility. So it'll have their logo on it. It'll have information relating to whether their resort or their location. And we always have a control center for the resort and or the location to update information themselves. So that's a big part of the partnership is they're ingrained in it. They have the ability to go in there and change any information that's up there, add new information each day. They have the capability to do all of that.
Wow. Nick, professional stuff aside, what are you most excited about right now?
I'm excited for the ski season to start. As we talked about at the beginning of this, it's a passion that I have. It's a passion my family has. I have a little girl who is 3, and this is her second season she's going into. So at the age of 2, she was already learning the plow and how to do pizza and French fries. This year is going to be a big growth for her, and I'm excited to be part of that because I take her out as much as I can.
Very cool. Very cool. And are you a podcast guy? Are you a reader for motivation, education? Where do you go?
Podcast and a reader. Reader, it's typically always business stuff. I need to get back into my fiction that I love so much. And podcast has been a big one for me. During the workday, during commuting, podcast is a big one for me, not only on the side of business, but also with some stuff that just takes my mind off of reality.
For sure. Totally agree. I usually read the whole Harry Potter series around this time, but I don't read it. That's a big claim. I listen to it. I listen. The voice actor who narrates the Harry Potter series, I don't know if there's an award for narrators of books, but he's excellent. He does all the voices. It's great. So I fully appreciate the candid answer of that. It's so important, right? Like it's easy to just work, but you got to recharge those batteries to be creative, to clear the space out. So it's fun to definitely dive into that stuff. Nick, how do people?
Yeah, here in a couple of weeks, I'll be able to put the skis on and feel my thrill.
Absolutely. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for all of us. And it's definitely exciting to hear that you're expecting a good season, good turnout, and a great opportunity, again, to reach a really specific curated audience. So appreciate all that insight. Nick, where should people go to connect with you, learn more about Alpine?
Alpinemedia.com, and you'll see that we have other lines of business outside of just ski resorts. We have now started getting into theme parks, HOAs, senior care facilities. So we're continuing to grow in different verticals. So if there's interest outside of our audience just at ski resorts, we have different audiences out there as well that we can connect with. And then LinkedIn, I'm very active on LinkedIn. Please connect with me. That's the social media channel that I browse through. And I love commenting and reading other articles. So if you got anything that's important for me to look at, please share.
And Nick makes great videos in really beautiful places too. So you should follow him just for that.
Oh man, I got to give my little girl some props. She's been Avery, who's 3, and I guess I got Nora, my 10-month-old, involved in some of those videos too. But she definitely helped create some good content. And I promise this season, when we actually can be on the slopes, to provide even better fun videos to pay attention to.
Well, I'm excited to see it. Nick, thanks so much for being here. If you found this helpful, please share it with somebody else who could benefit. And as always, make sure to smash that subscribe button down there in the corner, and we'll see you guys next time.